Guess who's back again. Trash Panda is back. Tell all your friends. Yes, Trash Panda is back and excited and ready to go. But I'm also sad today because my favorite person is not here today. Eunice could not be on the show this time around, but that's because she's studying for her finals, and here in the SSP, we take that very seriously. But in her place, we have some awesome co-hosts that we went out and asked to join the show. So first and foremost, my new homie from the NYC, Dray from SportsWay with Dray Podcast. And of course, last but surely not least, we have Aaron B, my new weightlifting partner from Tacos and Touchdowns. Yes, Aaron, I will get tacos with you. You don't even have to ask. So excited to have all of you on the show today. But Hershey, back to you to get us started. Woo!
All right, thank you so much, guys, for being here. Panda, thank you for that introduction. I appreciate it. No, guys, again, thank you so much for being here. Truly taking over for my sister the way, like I said in the intro, education is very important to us. Again, she's going to school at SMU in Dallas, studying sports management, her junior year already. So we're pretty excited for her. We're all college graduates here in our family, so we like to push education. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the first question. Go ahead and Trash Panda, give that to us.
Question numero uno, guys. So, if your star player is hurt, i.e. like Baker Mayfield, but can still play, would you still sit him? Or would you still play him? Good question. Go.
Simple, the in this question, I think it kind of breaks down into different parts. So, in case those that didn't hear Trash Panda too well, I know he tends to talk very fast, and it's just a pain in my ass. No, the first question is, if your player is hurt, i.e., like Baker Mayfield, no, but he can still play, would you sit him or would you play him? And when we first produced this question, both myself and my sister, we had different aspects of it because she can go in different ways. But Aaron, go ahead and give me your perspective on what you would do as maybe a head coach or owner or GM for that situation.
Sure, especially in this around this part of the season, you're going to start seeing players like that. So, like for example, we have Zeke hasn't been playing too well at all. Like his last game was week 5 where he was averaged 100 yards. And I think in part of this season, if you start seeing players that are like that, I would sit them, like, especially if it's a game that I know I have full confidence in the rest of the team and we can handle our business. I like, hey, you need to get that rest. We need you right for the playoffs. And I'm just be honest, I would just sit a player down, even though he might be the star or he hasn't been producing well at all.
So what about you, Dre? Give me your 2 cents.
Well, it's kind of similar to the Aaron Rodgers situation. Like he has this injury with his toe, but he's still going out there playing. So I think right now at this time of the season, everybody's not healthy. Nobody. Yeah. Like we're on the 13th week?
Yes.
So we're on the 13th week right now. So nobody right now at this point is healthy. I think it pretty much boils down to the how serious the injury is. You feel me? And like Aaron B said, like if you're going up against a team that you should have no business losing to, then I don't see why you just don't rest that player. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless the person is in the MVP conversation or if they trying to get an award or something, if it's a game that y'all should win, I would sit him. There's no reason to play him and risk getting hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like I know this is not football related, but just something just happened recently in women's college basketball with the girl from UConn,
Yeah.
one of the top players in the world. The game's damn near over. It's seconds left in the game, and Gino got her out there. And now look.
Yeah.
So
Now she's out
hopefully
for the season.
the injury is not severe. Yeah, hopefully the injury is not severe, but in a situation like that, you're not supposed to have that girl out there with a couple of seconds left in the game. Like the game is over. It's a blowout. Why is she out there? You know what I mean? And in a situation like this, I mean, if the person, if the injury is somewhat crazy, then don't risk having that person get hurt even more. If it's a team that you should just wipe the floor with, like Aaron B said, and you should the personnel on your team that y'all should get the dub, then just hit the player. Don't risk, getting that player hurt than what the person already is.
And that's a good question but like for example, in the example that you gave, Dre, I understand you said no. Hey, last minutes of the game, no, she shouldn't be out there. No, especially if you know you're gonna win. With like 2 minutes left in the game, like there's no point. I mean, any shots they get now is just basically for show. But all that is great and all, but what happens to the player? No, what is y'all's point of view when the player is stubborn and the coach is fine, just go out there, and then they end up getting hurt, like in her situation, or in like Baker's situation where he has what I believe a torn labrum, I believe he said, bruised ribs and something else, and obviously no, they both played, but in my perspective, I didn't read too much into both situations, but it sounds like the players chose to be in the game outside of, no, hey, I'm just going to sit back, rest, prepare for the next week.
Baker wants to play now because he wants to show that he's this warrior. That's what this whole thing is. He knows the Cleveland fan base ain't really rocking with him right now. At the end of the day, he's trying to get that big contract. So he's basically trying to go out there and, try to show that he's this amazing football player that can play through an injury. We already know you full of crap, Baker. So, I mean, you basically wasting your time. That's the way I look at it. Like, whether you play or not really doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, that's why this is, it's a quarterback-driven league. If the quarterback is going to go out there, whether he's hurt or not, if the quarterback wants to go out there and play, the coach is going to let them play. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If it's the quarterback calls the shots. That's the most important play. That's the most important position in all sports. If the quarterback is hurt, but they still want to go out there and play, best believe the coach is going to allow them to go out there and play. That's just the nature. That's just the nature of the game. Now, if it was another position, then maybe the coach would be like, "Yeah, I think you need to sit this one out." But if it's the quarterback and the quarterback wants to play, best believe the coach is going to allow that player to play.
Aaron?
Absolutely, like Dre was saying about it's a quarterback-driven league. The only time they're gonna let a quarterback sit down is like a serious injury, and they're like, "Hey, we need you for the next game. This game right here, we could have our backup be there and handle maybe a game or two." But if it's like how Baker, he's trying to get that contract, and like Dre was saying that Cleveland's not rocking with him. They're probably going to be looking in the draft for a quarterback or something going on.
Yeah. Well, maybe not this draft, but the next one. So in that situation, you guys both stated, like it's a quarterback-driven league. The quarterbacks should play. So what about like in the Dak situation, coming out of the bye? Like when they played New England, obviously he got hurt. Then they go into the bye. Then we face the Vikings, and everything looked like they were gonna play. Like he was ready to play, and they set him, and then obviously started him against the Broncos, and we saw how that happened, how that worked out. Which again, we won't talk about that. But you know what I'm talking about, Aaron. No, is that the same situation? I mean, should they obviously made the decision to sit him because obviously he was still hurt. No, but he wanted to play. I mean, what? How do you mesh that example into again? Let's just again with we're stick with the same example with Baker's situation.
When it comes to like that situation, I think they picked and choose that game and like, okay, we got a game plan against the Vikings and they won that game.
Yeah,
I think that's the situation. Like, we're getting to the part of the season where the Cowboys gotta have Dak. If that's like the example, like they needed when it came to the Bronco game, he wasn't fully there because he was just that's the situation with that. But it just took him a little bit. They got their L's. They played against the Saints. Now they got to play against the football team, and then they got conference games, and then the Cardinals as well. But Baker, it's just all about the contract for him in his situation.
I agree. I totally agree. Like this whole thing started when the whole thing with Baker started when I believe he was injured a game and he missed a week, and Case Keenum went out there and balled out. And I think the question came about should they even go back to Baker? But
Sure.
obviously, him being the number one draft pick, you got to put him back out there.
Yeah,
you got to put him back out there. And that was in the following week, Baker said, "You know what? I got to come back," because he felt that pressure. He saw how Cleveland was doing without him, and it was like, "Yo, I can't let this guy take my spot. I got to come back, whether I'm hurt or not. I got to go out there and try to thug it out." Now, some may look at that as being brave. Some may look at that as being stupid. Me, in my honest opinion, I really care less because I'm not really that much of a Baker fan. Like, I have a bunch of things I want to say about him, but to protect your show, I'm not going to.
no, don't worry. I got you. Yeah.
I mean, if I was a coach, which to be, but for basketball, if a player of mine has a severe injury, he's not playing. It's bad. As bad as I can use he or she, because I'm gonna say females as well, because I've coached females too. If it's a severe injury and it may cause you drastic harm, I can't play you. As bad as I need you, I'm looking out for the best interest of you. That's my job as a coach, to look out as the best interest of you. If it's a bad injury that could really do some harm to you, I'm sorry, you can't play. I'm sorry, you can't. Because if that injury happens.
Yeah. So you coach basketball. So basketball, I know basketball is your thing. So let's take that same question, but put it in basketball. So when the Lakers set LeBron and they went on those, they lost like what, 4 or 5, and then they won a couple and everything, and they were questioning them, and I'm not talking about when they said, I'm not talking about when they went to the COVID protocol, but before that, when they went on like 10 games where he didn't play. So
yeah,
as a coach, would you have set him, or would you have played him knowing, well, he's LeBron James? I mean, he's not my GOAT, but he's.
I mean, that's LeBron. Like, let's call it what it is. He owned the NBA. if LeBron wants to play, he is going to play. Yeah. Regardless, he's going to play. He ain't gonna let no chippy old me tell him, no, you're not playing today. Like that's just not gonna happen. That's just not gonna happen. Like, LeBron is LeBron. He's the face of the league. If he wants to be on that court, you best believe he's gonna be out there.
Yeah. Okay.
But for anybody else, like, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't play because I'm not. First of all, I don't want you hurting I don't want you risking your career, and at the same token, I don't want none of that to fall back on me. Where it's like, yo, how could you let this person play knowing he's hurt?
Yeah, and I think this question just it's very sports sport driven because in certain sports you can play through certain injuries, well, in others, obviously you can't, and position driven. So as a coach, you really have to think about all the different scenarios and ways. But I love this question simply because you can answer it a million ways and somebody will be ticked off about the answer one way or another. No, as far as Baker Mayfield goes, I will add this to it before we move on. I myself too, I do not like Baker Mayfield. I have my own thoughts on him too, so don't worry. I got you, Dre. I get why you feel it. Uh, no, I'm happy that the Browns, were able finally to do something and make the playoffs last year. But no, I don't trust Baker. I don't just everything about the Browns right now. Just I don't trust. Simple as that. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. But with that being said, go ahead, Trash Panda. Give us question number 2.
Question numero dos. So, we just saw the new rankings for the college football playoffs and who's gonna be 1 through 4. But do you agree with them or do you disagree? I agree with them. Go.
Perfect. So again, let me repeat the question for you guys. I know he just talks 3 weeks from Sunday. You guys don't even know how annoying. But Dre, I think your son would love Panda right there. I'm gonna tell you that. He's pretty funny sometimes. But we just saw on Sunday the new college football rankings. All right, Alabama, Michigan, Georgia, Cincinnati. Personally, I agree with them. I like them. Uh, there is a little bit about me that says, you know what, they only did it that way because they didn't want Alabama to face Georgia again. I mean, that's just me. I don't know, wink, wink. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But how do y'all did they get it right? Did they get it right?
They,
Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, they got it right.
Yeah.
They got it right. They got it right. I mean, me honestly, I thought Michigan would be number 1, being that they was number 2, and they convincingly destroyed Iowa. But then I looked at it and said, Alabama did beat the number 1 ranked team, and they didn't just beat them; they put the beats on them. Because I remember, I remember talking to people prior to the game when we found out it was going to be Alabama and Georgia, and people already had the mindset that Georgia was going to win. All they kept saying was, all Alabama got to do is keep it close. If they keep it close, they'll be in the playoffs. I'm like, y'all saying keep it close like they're not going to win. I'm like, I got Alabama winning this game. Like, Kirby got a history of not winning against Nick Saban. Like, what we talking about here? So I'm glad Alabama won, and I'm glad they won in the fashion that they won because they basically had to send a message like, oh, word, y'all thought Georgia was going to beat us? Okay, we'll show y'all something. And look what happened. But we all know what this was about. They was not going to have Georgia and Alabama go against each other in the semifinals. The message is crystal clear. We want a rematch from the SEC title game in the national title game. Not in the semifinals, but in the national title game. That's what's going to happen. Because Alabama's going to smoke Cincy. Let's just get that out the way. They made the playoffs. They was one of the Power 5 that made the playoffs. Alabama going to put the beats on them. And Georgia and Michigan, honestly, I can't really call that one. I don't think that game is easy as people think.
Yeah. If Georgia stays, I think in this situation, had Georgia made it a close game against Alabama, I feel like they would have skimmed out a win there. And then obviously everything else would have changed. But I mean, I knew it already. And mind you, I graduated from Texas A&M. So I was there in 2012 when Johnny Manziel beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and I was here in my home when they lost here in Kyle Field. I mean, I live a good 30 minutes away from campus, and I could hear them all the way to my house. So that's how loud it was. That's how crazy it was. So Yeah, I understand that. Believe me, my heart was like, "Ooh, I'm dying over here." But um, in those situations, when I found out about the SEC championship, I honestly was like, "No, there's no way Georgia's gonna beat Alabama. That's a monkey. That's a monkey they can't get off their back." I mean, I don't care if they were not only giving up what they said 36 points all season, something like that. Okay, congratulations. Number one, okay, I don't think Bryce Young is my Heisman candidate, although he's played like one. I wouldn't pick him personally.
Oh, he
No,
got that.
I,
He got
I don't
that.
think the guy from Pitt deserves it a lot more, or that the defensive end from my Michigan.
Thibodeau?
Yeah, him. Yeah. So them two, but you still have the greatest coach in college football. And although they had a poor showing in the Iron Bowl and against Texas A&M, they made it a close game. They scored over 20 points. It's like, come on, Aaron.
I agree with the rankings, but in some way I wanted the semifinals to be the SEC championship again, just to get that I'm about the early gifts. But I understand that I'd have liked the South team versus the Midwest team.
That was not going to happen, bro.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted the early. Gift.
That was not going to happen, bro. I'm telling you, they was not going to allow that, because they basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to have Cincy be in the national title game. That's not enthusing. Nobody jacking that. No, nobody is jacking Cincinnati being in the national title game. Nobody would even believe that. That's why they kept them at number 4. That's exactly why they kept them at number 4, which is crazy.
But wouldn't
because
it be more
me
interesting to
personally,
have Cincinnati? It wouldn't be more interesting to have Cincinnati in the national title game than Alabama, because nobody would have believed it.
It would be, but you got to think about dollars. You got to think about them dollars.
But that's
which.
But if you're thinking about dollars, yeah, okay, Alabama runs the college playoffs. They're always there. So it's like, why am I gonna pay money to go see what I saw last year? But or what? Or am I gonna pay money to go see Cincinnati try to beat Michigan? No, something that I have not seen before. I feel like that would bring more money than Alabama against Georgia.
I'm gonna give you a comparison. You watch boxing, right?
Every now and then, yes.
You are very familiar with Floyd Money Mayweather, right?
I don't live under a rock, bro.
Huh?
Said I don't live under a rock.
Oh, okay. Now, his name is Money Mayweather for a reason. A lot of these times when he fights for the pay-per-views or whatever, the people are not ordering to see him win. They're ordering to see who's going to be the person to take him down, to see if he'll lose. So with Alabama being always in the playoffs, they're not trying to see Cincinnati in the national title game. Nobody is trying to see that right now at this moment. That's why it was clear cut. They kept them at number 4. Like, all right, we're going to leave them at 4. We're not trying to have them rank any higher. This is what we want. We want Georgia, Alabama in the national title game. So we're going to have Alabama 1, and we're going to put Georgia either 2 or 3, so they could be far away from each other in the playoffs until that national championship game. Now, Cincy, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They beat every team that was in front of them. They're the only unbeaten team in the playoff. And they won their conference. Do I think they should have been number 4? No, I think they should have been in the top 3 because they won their conference. But again, the conference that they're in is not as strong as SEC. It's not as strong as the Big Ten. So because of their conference, that's why they stayed at number 4. But now their reward is making the playoffs, and now on New Year's Eve, they will get a crash course of what happens when you join the St. Nick Alabama Invitational, because they should just change the name to the Alabama Invitational, because since its existence, they've always been in, except probably 1 year.
Yep.
And that was the year they played, I think, Michigan. They played Michigan in the Outback Bowl a few years ago. Other than that, every year they are in the playoffs. Huh?
2018, I believe.
Yeah. So every year, except for that year, they are in the playoffs. So they should change the name.
Yeah. Aaron, your thoughts?
Hey, my thoughts is dang, I didn't know what to say to this one, but it's just it's just based just for the Alabama just to win. Like I'm glad to see a smaller conference team actually get a chance in the playoffs, because it's usually going to the SEC or the Big Ten, and the Big 12 with Oklahoma and stuff. It's just good to see some type of change. I'm not gonna see. There's not gonna be no shock where Cincy gonna beat Alabama. That's not gonna happen. But there could be a possible.
Listen. They know they not winning. They know they not gonna win.
Hey,
they know that.
Don't say never, because going into that Texas A&M game, we were unranked. No, we weren't supposed to win, and you saw what happened. I'm just saying.
Cincinnati is not beating Alabama. You can book it. They know they're not gonna win. They know they're not. Of course they're gonna be interviewed, and they're gonna say all the right things. Yeah. Alabama is a great school. Nick Saban is one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest college football coach. We know what we're up against, but deep down inside, they know what is knocking on that door. They know what's coming. They know what's coming. An ass whooping is coming. They know. They know.
I wanna disagree with y'all, but you
can't disagree with me on this one, man.
I got my hopes, okay? As an Aggie, as a person that's had no hopes of beating Alabama, and not only beating them at their home, but beating them in our home. There's a small sliver of hope. All right, small sliver of hope.
You root for the underdog. I respect it. You root for the underdog. I respect it.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
But I do have to agree with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean, except if you're betting. I mean, I'm gonna bet against Alabama. I'm gonna bet on Alabama to win it, obviously. But maybe I'll take the points and take the points on Cincinnati, maybe scoring 14 in like the first half and leave it alone.
I think they 14 and a half. I think they got 14 and a half on them.
Oh, 14 and a half.
I think so. I think that's what I saw earlier.
I don't know if I would do that half though, because if you think about it, if you do the half is just a field goal right there.
Cincinnati knows what's coming. They know what's coming.
That's
and where's it going to be? It's going to be it's the Cotton Bowl.
In Dallas.
Oh, in y'all building.
Yep.
And trust me, that crowd is going to be pro-Alabama. Trust me on that.
I mean, Alabama travels well. I can promise you that. But
they are going to get their asses twisted. This game going to be over by halftime.
Oh, God.
All the other teams they played, they was cool. They ain't play on Alabama yet. They ain't play on St. Nick yet.
That's
a different beast right there.
It's a good way to start. They're gonna go into the Big 12 here in a few years, so it's a good way for them to kind of get their feet wet and get accustomed to the big dogs. Because if they win the Big 12, no, they're more likely to get into playoffs as a number 2, number 3, even a number 1 than what they are at now. So no, that's completely understandable. Again, I'm still rooting for the underdog, but hey, let's all be serious. Alabama is just the way it is. As far as on the other end goes, Michigan against Georgia. We got a couple more minutes on this question, but I agree with you, Dre, in the sense that it's very hard to ponder because Georgia has two ways of looking at this. Either we just got wrecked after being the best team in college football by our arch rival in Alabama, and now we're gonna face this hot team in Michigan that finally beat Ohio State, finally won the Big Ten, and now it's like at this point, what do we gotta lose? Nothing but the championship. So, I'm gonna root for Michigan, and I think Michigan is going to win it because I don't believe that Georgia is going to allow. I don't think that their mentality is not going to be there after losing to Alabama the way they did, in my opinion. But Aaron, give me your thoughts on that game.
When it comes to that Michigan and Georgia game, is Georgia gotta just hey, if we beat Michigan, put the dirt in the water on that game on Michigan after being so hot, we get to get our revenge back on Alabama. Get to play them. But then you're playing in Michigan, they're like they want the Alabama, that type of deal. So that's gonna be a tough game. I think it might go into the fourth quarter with those two teams.
Yeah, it could. I can almost guarantee it. It's gonna be in the Sugar Bowl in Louisiana.
What a season this will be for Jim Harbaugh if he could do that. What a season this would be if he can do that. You finally beat Ohio State after all these years. You didn't stake up the joint in the Big Ten title game. You actually won it. You're in the college football playoffs. And let's just say, hypothetically, they do play Alabama and you dethrone them. This would be obviously his greatest coaching year. He could retire after this if he was to do it. But it won't. But it's a feel-good story for sure. Definitely. It's a feel-good story for sure.
Yeah. I honestly I agree with the beginning of this conversation, simply that they didn't want that rematch in the playoffs. They wanted in the national championship. That's obvious. I mean, even all the commentators from the selection show were showed that that's what it was going to happen. We were obvious, and many people didn't like it, and here and there and whatever. But I think the best matchup here, outside of the New Year's Bowls, because there's some pretty good matchups there as well. In the college football playoffs, Georgia against Michigan is going to be, like Aaron said, is going to come down to the fourth quarter. Who has the ball last? Who's playing greedy football? You're looking at two top defenses with top tier talent. I mean, that Georgia off defensive line is stacked beyond belief. I mean, them big boys that can go from 0 to 60 in like nothing sharp. And then again, you got the defensive end from Michigan, who he's kind of looking like Micah Parsons when he was in Penn State, and even now with the Cowboys, where he's just all over the place. I mean, he's covering wide receivers, and he's not smoking them, but he's making plays. So, and then of course you're looking at the quarterback side. Michigan has the 2 quarterback set, depending on what they want to do, and then you got this walk-on in Georgia where it could go either ways. I mean, if he plays well, he's the best. If he doesn't, well, we saw what happened against Alabama. So I think that matchup is arguably, obviously, the best matchup probably outside of the championship, depending on who's there. If by some miracle Cincinnati beats Alabama and Michigan beats Georgia, that might be a pretty good matchup. I would like to see that. Um, but we're going to be realistic here. We're going to be realistic. Alabama's going to roll over Cincinnati.
Listen, if Alabama loses to Cincinnati, I'm going to have to go into hiding if Alabama was to lose. Because I've been talking hella mess for weeks. Because I already know Alabama's going to make the playoffs. I know they're going to make the playoffs. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
This is Alabama we talking about. This is Saint Nick. Like we're about to hit Christmas. Saint Nick. Come on. What are we talking about here?
The trophy should just be like a Santa Claus with the face of Nick Saban on it in Alabama.
Talk about it. There you go. I like your speed. I like your speed.
Perfect, guys. Perfect. But let's go ahead and get into the last question here. Go ahead and Trash Panda, give us that last question.
Question number 3. After what happened to defensive end Everson Griffin, how important is it for all major sports organizations to start putting more importance or a higher importance on the athletes?
Guys, so we also what happened with Vikings defensive end Everson Griffin. I mean, that was pretty hard right there. Seeing what he was doing, what was going on, and obviously they haven't released the details of what led to that situation. So simply the question is, do sports organizations, so soccer, football, basketball, baseball, tennis, everything, should they start putting a higher priority on athletes' mental health? And I mean, I know, Dray, you and I talked about mental health when we spoke in the IG Live. And we both have past histories with that. But what are you guys' 2 cents on that?
Oh no, you have to. You have to. You've got to. It's a very serious thing. And then on top of that, as all 3 of us know, we all living in a pandemic right now, and a lot of people have done some harmful things to themselves because of this pandemic. So just because these dudes make millions of dollars, that doesn't mean that their mental is not all the way there. Like, what was it? A few years ago, who was it? Kevin Love, DeMar DeRozan, a couple of NBA players. Paul George is another one. Like a lot of these players came out and said that, they was dealing with mental health issues. So it's definitely something that all of these sports need to speak about, whether it's NBA, baseball, which baseball ain't doing nothing now because of a lockout. NFL, college, WNBA, all these sports. Like, it's something that definitely needs to be speaking about on the forefront as it pertains to their athletes' mental health.
Aaron?
Absolutely, because a lot of these players might have past traumatic experiences back before they even got to the league or where they was. They're dealing with suicide thoughts, depression, and all that stuff that needs to be brought up to. Hey, they sacrifice their bodies and their whole lives just to get where they're at. Like they put so much into their league, ball, soccer, football, like you all were saying. It's like they need to bring awareness and try to help. If they're trying to seek for help, be there for them even when they're still in the league and when they're out of the league, because they sacrifice their time for that brand.
So obviously we cannot put them all in a bubble and in the same mass. And as you guys understand, when it comes to even as far as gender goes, men's mental health is obviously different than a woman's mental health. And even between us 3 here, it's 3 different sets of mental health. And you put 3 women on here, it's the same thing. No, how could these organizations in this sports go by finding a way to address it, or is there even a real way to address this? We're gonna call it this pandemic because that's what it is. It's like COVID-19. It's a pandemic.
I mean, listen, a lot these sports, they have all the resources in the world to find out how to make this thing go. There's no reason why this is not something that should be spoken about more. And again, we're talking about a pandemic. They're now talking about another virus that's out now. So that's another thing that these athletes got to worry about as it pertains to their mental health. So it's a crazy world we're living in right now, man. It's a crazy world we're living in, and the worst thing that people could do is be disingenuous to these athletes and think, oh, y'all don't y'all get paid all this money, y'all live in these mansions and y'all make all this money and y'all ride all these cars. What you worried about? What you stressed about? What's wrong with your mental? You live in the American dream. Nah, it don't work that way. It don't work that way. How many athletes you've heard that were straight edge and staying out of trouble? Once their mental health wasn't in order, they started doing things they have no business doing. How many celebrities you done heard off themselves? They was depressed or they didn't have nobody to talk to. Like it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing out there. And it don't discriminate whether you broke or you sitting on millions. It don't discriminate. It attacks all of us. Mental health, it attacks all of us. And it's something that definitely needs to be spoken about more. Definitely.
Aaron?
It all breaks down to, even though they have all these millions of dollars, they're still human beings just like you and I. It's like they go through struggles as well. They may be in different ways because now we have social media where people could talk mess about it and message, and they'll have this shield like, it don't bother them, but deep down it's hurting with their mental because you don't know what type of stuff they've been through. I think there just needs to be awareness to like they're humans just like you and I. Just we're God blessed with this talent to play sports and other things as well.
No, I completely agree with all that. So when you're looking at it, obviously when we're I don't know about you guys, but my sports background really has more of football and soccer. That's what I grew up with. So internationally, I'm very aware of what's going on around the world in sports as far as soccer and a lot of the big tournaments around the world. And compare that to what we see here, it's a complete night and day. I mean, over there, mental health is not as this. I'm gonna go ahead and say discriminated against, if you will. I'm sure there's a better word for it, but that's just kind of what I'm seeing right now. So do you think there's a difference here between the sports, international sports, so sports outside of America, and to the American sports when it comes to the mental health aspect of it? Aaron?
Absolutely. Here it's kind of like suck it up type of buttercup type of thing. It's like you'll be fine and type of things, and now we're finally getting to that awareness. Hey, I'm going through stuff, and I'm not afraid to say it. Like, and then you got millions of other ones. Like, I seen a list, a stat that said 35% of athletes are going through mental health are brought it up as well.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is.
That's good. That's good. Like it's something like it's something that, like, if you're going through something, you got to tell somebody. Like don't hold it in. Definitely don't hold it in. Because I mean, like we said, like me and Hersh said earlier, we did we was on an IG live. What was it, last week? We did IG live and we brought this up.
Yeah.
Like we both had to step away from podcasting because our, because of our mental health. But my problem was that I didn't tell nobody. Like the only person, I think probably the only two people I told was my mom and my girl at the time. Nobody else knew about it. So if you're dealing with something, you got to tell somebody. You have to tell somebody. It's nothing wrong with showing some level of vulnerability. That's the problem with, I'll say it, with us men out there. If we, show any type of vulnerability that makes it look like we're weak. Far from that. If anything, we're stronger if we tell somebody what we're dealing with, or get the help that we need to get.
Yeah, and I think as far as obviously for our point of view, when we're looking at the men's point of view, is just like you said, Dre. Being a guy in today's society, if you show your feelings, you're weak. You're not strong enough. But it's far from it, and unfortunately, we see this young men really that you see that and it's it's simple. The generation above the 90s, I'm going to say the 90s kids, the millennials, and then generation under us, before and after us, we're really living in two different sides of the world that we see. And it's really, we come from the generation that you speak your feelings, you're weak. You don't speak your feelings, then you're weak. So it's like we don't know what to do with ourselves, because we can't really go to our own fathers, because of who they are as their generation. And obviously, we're not going to put our own weight on somebody younger than us. And, it kind of goes from there. But I think this question is something that really needs to be continually brought up on all shows in all aspects. And obviously, we hope the best for Everson Griffin in his situation. And we wish him, just the quickest recovery, because number one, he was a great defensive end. And I mean, he was balling out this year. I believe he had like 7 sacks until that happened, something like that. So he could have easily, had he kept going, he could have easily made the argument for Defensive Player of the Year. Just depending on how Minnesota had been doing it. And I know I can guarantee you they could have used him against the Lions, which, by the way, on a more positive note, too, Lions fans, you finally won one. You finally won one. Like,
That's their championship, because they damn sure celebrated like they won one.
That's the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's their Super Bowl.
Ironically, they're still not taken out of playoff contention. I mean, it's gonna take God coming back, Jesus coming back as the second coming of Jesus Christ, with like 7 other religious deities coming back too, while we figure out how just how everything works in life. When we, if all that happens, the Lions make the playoffs this year. If none of that happens, we both know they lose next week. That's it. And they play the Green Bay next week, so let's be serious. Even without Aaron Rodgers, they're gonna lose. So, But perfect, guys. Thank you so much for being on the show. I truly appreciate it. It's always a blast talking to you guys, knowing everything that we do. But before we take off and we let Panda say his goodbyes, because he's been a pain in my behind as always, we do want to give a shout out to Keisha Sofford from Balling with Keisha. So she was supposed to be on the show this week, but she accepted a job offer with the news outlet. So unfortunately, per contract, she can't be doing this stuff anymore, which is completely fine. Moving up in the world, bigger and better things is we support. What most people don't see is that the podcast community, based on who you know and what you know, it can become a pretty knit, pretty close community. And when one eats, everybody eats, in my opinion. And that right there, that's what's awesome about this. So again, Keisha, congratulations. kind of glad you're leaving a little bit simply because you were hurting me in fantasy football. You know what? So I'm kind of questioning whether I should have given you my tricks. Yeah, but yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. In time, we will see. We still got plenty of the season to go. So, as always, guys, Panda, go ahead and give us your goodbyes. And yeah,
Yes, guys, it was so much fun. Thank you so much for being on the show. It was so exciting. Again, guys, follow us on all social media. Eunice will be back next week. But as always, I love every single one of you. Bye.
SportsWay with Dray Day podcast. The link is in the bio. Dray Day 1985. Link is in the bio. Facebook, Dray Day. Twitter, Dray Day 1985. You got 230 episodes of non-filtered opinion, sports talk. I actually just dropped a new episode today, so go check that out on all platforms except Tidal. And there you have it. The Hood's ESPN, just keeping it real like I do.
And I tag him in a bunch of stuff. So two guys, follow him up. Aaron, give us your tags.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? So all of them are tacos and touchdowns, lowercase on IG. I have an episode with a young man from Westmore High School, cornerback. So that's gonna be on IG Live at 7:30. But before that, I'm gonna have a Cowboys versus pregame talk with a couch coach from Off the Ball Network. We're gonna be talking about the football team versus the Cowboys on Twitter and on our Facebook as well. So y'all go check that out. A little doubleheader before for the week. And also check out the podcast. There's gonna be in the link in the bio on IG as well, so you can check out all the episodes we have as well. That's all I got.
And again, guys, everybody, they will know we'll tag them. We tag them on a bunch of stuff. No, but we'll keep tagging them. I'll keep annoying them. And of course, you can always go to the Sporty Sipping Podcast IG. Look for Dray Day and Tacos and Touchdowns. They're all in there, man. You can find them, listen to them. They're great shows. I listened to all of their stuff, before even getting in contact with them. And let me tell you, it was 2 shows in each one of them, and I was like, no, I have to talk to this guys. I gotta get some questions out and really continue growing what we're doing, because it's amazing. So perfect, guys. Thank you so much for being with us again. I appreciate it. We've always had the links in everywhere. Guys, follow the RYM network on all social media, as well as the Sporty Sipping Podcast. We're dropping some Christmas merch going on because your boy right here is born on Christmas Day. So, we got to ball out on Christmas. And yes, before everybody asks, I will be wearing Christmas clothing the rest of the year. So I'm going to be wearing some really funny stuff moving forward, because you know what? After the years we've had, it's time to put a little laughter at the end of the year. You know what I mean?
Agree. Absolutely.
Perfect, guys. Thank you so much.